Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 47th episode of the IGC podcast. If this is your first time listening, the IGC podcast is the podcast for the mature adult gamer who likes to joke around, play hard, and get wasted. We curse, we get rowdy, we have a good time doing it. And with us today, I am your host, Gray Gerilden, and in the room with me today is let's start off with Papa J, since he wasn't here last time, and that's the first time you haven't been here in a really long time.
He was slacking off.
Oh, yeah, it dates back to like April or something. But yeah, no, it was vacation week, and I've actually just got off work less than an hour ago. After a 12-hour shift, I've been doing 72s from now until November.
Well, then you were entitled to a vacation, absolutely. Did you get rest?
No, and I gotta go back in at 6 o'clock tomorrow because goddamn if we don't suck.
Well, we'll try to get through this so that you can get some actual sleep and eat some food.
That's not leaving you nearly enough time to play games. Do you want me to talk to your boss?
Please do. Please do.
All right.
We'll write a strongly worded letter and we'll sign it from, IGC or something. All right, and with us also is AI Monster is here, fresh off Tokyo Game Show news coverage, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to hear what you have to say about all this. And Naughtius is here as well.
I am indeed.
And last but not least, of course, Seifer is also here.
Yo.
All right, so what are we going to cover, guys? Let's start off by talking about Nintendo's new president. So, it's not Shigeru Miyamoto. It's actually this guy named Tatsumu Kimishima. Did I say that right, May? I mean, you are the resident weeaboo, so you tell me.
I'm going to go with Tatsumu
You said it right.
Kimishima.
So why was this guy qualified to be the new president of Nintendo exactly?
Lawsuit mitigation. He came from head of human resources, right?
Lawsuit mitigation? That makes
that's
him
what
important?
HR does. I mean, that's the real goal of HR is lawsuit mitigation.
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I thought they just hired people.
Well, they add 1 month out of the year when they're doing open enrollment, but other than that, they're trying to, keep former employees from suing the company.
So what did you guys think about this? Was this a good move for them? Do you think this guy has the chops to take Nintendo into the future?
I don't know why they don't make Shigeru.
Yeah, I don't know. This one seems political. I mean, also, in addition, this guy was apparently the chief financial officer for the Pokemon Company and was also president of Nintendo of America for like 4 years back in early 2000.
No, I think the complaints with Miyamoto...
Qualified.
I think the complaints with Miyamoto were that he was kind of like, he wasn't very like, when he made statements to the press, they weren't exactly the most like PR spun type of phrases.
Maybe we need somebody like that, though.
I mean, maybe. I mean, wasn't he quoted in the Iwata article a couple months back, was saying like, they don't like VR. We don't think VR is like a thing that gaming should be doing and crap like that. Maybe they didn't want that negative flack coming along with all this new press of a new president or a new CEO rather. Just my guess, though.
Maybe Miyamoto doesn't want to be CEO.
It's entirely possible.
That too, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, this guy is responsible for making sure the company is profitable and successful, and shareholders get their dividends. So it could just be purely business, and hopefully, he's smart enough to surround himself with creative people who will argue with him.
It's Nintendo. It's not going to happen.
We can dream.
One can hope. One can hope, that. So do you guys think he's going to take up where Nintendo left off, or is he going to try to change things? I mean, this guy, just looking at his picture, seems kind of like a very straight edge, I'm going to do whatever the company's kind of already been doing kind of guy.
Like I said, my advice to him, surround yourself with the smartest people you can find and make sure they disagree with you.
I wish it would just, become a software company. That's what Nintendo should do.
He just seems really old to be taking this position, but I guess it's good. The change is always welcome after having been through 3 managers in the past 9 months. Change is nice, but change isn't always the best thing. In this case, I think it'll be a good thing because this will... I guess, according to the article, he never really came from a technical background or developer background, this new guy, Kimishima. So this might actually be good because rather than focusing on games, he can focus on making money. Which is something Nintendo desperately needs right now, is to make money and garner the interest and the trust of their loyal fans back. This has been slowing, going, and fading away over the past few years.
Yeah, and Nintendo's made a few hits recently. I mean, they had Splatoon, which was a pretty good game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mario Maker's doing very, very well right now, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. That made a big splash, as I think, as I know a lot of people predicted, and there was some dissension among our crew here, but it was bound to do good.
We knew Mario Maker was going to do
we
well.
all knew it was going to do well, but
This
for all
would
the
be-
wrong reasons. Bro,
Told you it's
I
going
mean,
to sell 1 billion
Nintendo-
copies, I think is what I said.
Nintendo games are still going to sell really well. They just if they get out of the hardware business and become a software company, that would be like a dream.
True.
yeah. I mean, from a business standpoint, if you take the success of Splatoon and Mario Maker, and now expand their total user base to encompass the two other console environments, then they would
And PC.
make so much money.
Yes, and PC. I mean, it would be great to see those kinds of
Well,
games
hey,
on
now,
PC.
Let's not go too far there.
And Kerbal Space Program's taking a shot at the Wii U as well, right? As we talked about last time.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
doomed to fail because it doesn't, it's not made by Nintendo. But
You think so?
if it was Mario Space Program, fucking solid gold.
Oh, that is a good idea, actually. That's like a really good idea.
Never be a thing.
Quick licensing and rebranding, and they're good to go.
Oh, Nintendo! It's always good to see. I mean, I'm glad that they're getting things back on track. It's been since July. We've been waiting to hear them actually like put somebody in place here, and now they've finally done it. So good on them. And did they have much of a presence at TGS? Because I mean, I'm looking at our doc, and I don't really see a whole lot of Nintendo stuff on here.
They had some, not really any specific Nintendo games on there, but they had some 3DS games announced.
I think that's expected. They're always going to push the handheld, right? But, in the rush to talk about the news, because I was so excited, I forgot to ask you guys how you've been doing and what have you been playing in the past 2 weeks?
I think a lot of us are still working on the Phantom Pain, just trying to enjoy every last bit of that. Outside of that, I think we talked about that quite a bit last podcast. I've also been hitting Star Trek Online fairly, regularly, at least daily, and they just finished up their major story arc that basically culminates in the conclusion of this massive 5-year story, and it was just completely lackluster. It just fell on its face. This whole season of that game has been somewhat of a letdown. They basically had this, gigantic war happening inside the game between all the players and this race called the Iconians, only it was so half-assed. Like, there really wasn't even a war going on. It just ended up being like 5 or 6 kind of, weekly episode story missions, and that was that.
I mean, if you set out to write like a 5-year-long story arc, or however long it's going to take to write, in an MMO, like I almost feel like they're always bound to fail. I've yet to play an MMO style game that has a long like concept, like maybe an expansion that's spaced out over 2 or 3 years, that doesn't kind of get to the end and you're just never ever really truly satisfied with the way it went out.
Wait, you didn't like Destiny's story?
I didn't play Destiny. I will say from the 11 and even from the FF14 perspective, like there were certain elements of the story there, even the Aeon story, which I only played for about a year, like that were like it was building up to something that I thought was going to be amazing, and then it never really was amazing. It was just kind of like, it was a good story, but nothing that I'm going to like write home about.
I just wanted to clarify there. Destiny has like a 10-year thing planned, and they have the worst story I've ever seen in an MMO, which is
blows my mind.
But you look at some other games, like Guild Wars 2 kind of does their evolving story, fairly well, and their engine allows them, a great width of bringing that story to you. Like, they're capable of destroying entire zones and rebuilding them. And they just, I think there's some limitations in the engine in Star Trek, but when you've got engine limitations like that, then you really need to go after, the story side of things and get the players involved in it, and they just really didn't do that. It just kind of felt like I was on the sideline this entire season. I knew there's a war going on out there, but it's not really affecting me, and I'm not having a big part in it.
I don't know if you guys like follow the same media outlets that I do all the time necessarily, but like I've heard a lot of conversations about like game preservation lately and how MMOs sort of fit into that concept and that idea with things like Cataclysm WoW and the living story of Guild Wars 2. And do you guys do you hear about this every now and then, like how we are going to preserve like the vanilla version of a game or like a build of a game when games are constantly evolving and ever changing?
It's pretty much just left up to the fan base. And they have to go to extraordinary lengths to do it. I mean, there's what's the name of that EverQuest, the original EverQuest revival, Project
1999 or whatever it is.
Project 1999, yeah.
I mean, and there's a lot of like fan-made server type stuff for other various games that I've seen too. I mean, I even think there's like the old Star Wars MMO actually has a couple of private servers up as well to preserve the old gameplay of that or whatever. Like, it seems like game archival is a thing that is more people are thinking about as we're moving into the digital age, and I hear it come up a lot. And I was just wondering if you guys to give it any thought.
I think so, and even along that lines, like as far as EverQuest 2 goes, they've got an official. I think they just call it the EQ2, like progression servers, which are time locked, to an expansion, and then they only advance when everybody decides they're ready to.
They do it in EQ as well, but it's all messed up. People are exploiting and screwing it up.
And those are actually like official servers, right?
Those are official servers, yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. Well, I didn't mean to change the subject. I just wanted to hear about that. Hey, Seifer, did you actually start playing Metal Gear Solid yet?
Nope.
What? So you've been waiting for this game for like years, and you haven't started playing.
It's your solemn duty to play this game. You are our official PhD in ancient Metal Gear history.
You are disappointed, son.
I am fucking disappointed right now.
It's okay.
Explain yourself.
Disappointed. I'm fucking appalled. Disappointed doesn't do my level of upset justice.
Explain yourself, Seifer. Why haven't you played Metal Gear Solid 5 yet?
Gotta play it when I'm not tired. Number one, because I don't want to play that tired, because then I'll just start rushing it and won't enjoy it properly. It's something that must be saved and savored.
This is true. It is extremely rewarding if you just take your time and experience, everything that's in there instead of rushing through the story.
I have some other duties need to perform.
I mean, I can
crafting officer.
Can respect that perspective. And yet, I've known you for like 6, going on 7 years, I think, and I've never known you to actually never be tired. So when the fuck are you going to start playing the goddamn game, Seifer? Because eventually that excuse is going to wear itself out, and you're just never going to play it.
I already bought it, so I gotta play it. Just play it when I want to play.
Did you buy it on Steam?
Yeah, but on Steam.
Okay, because in my experience, there's a lot of people who buy games on Steam that actually don't ever get to them.
Surely not.
I mean, I maybe I'm crazy, but I mean, I get games all the time for a couple of bucks that I never have even installed or booted up.
There is an entire ecosystem of websites that are solely dedicated to helping you get through your Steam backlog.
Wait,
That's
what?
terrible.
It's true.
What?
This problem is prolific. There are a lot of people have Steam games that they've never played, and these websites are there to help you.
Yeah, and I think some of the issues like created with a lot of the charity websites like Humble Bundle and like those sites where you get like a bunch of games for like $1 or whatever you want to pay for them, and you put them on your Steam library. I think it's reached like the level of like people just collect like Steam games now to talk about how big their library is. They don't actually ever. That doesn't really have any substance though because they don't actually play them. I'm kind of guilty of that myself.
Someday I'll play them all.
But I mean, speaking of games in backlog, I actually have just gone back to The Witcher 3, and I've been playing it for about 2 weeks. I finally got up to the whole. I understand the unicorn yen reference now, Nautilus. So I finally got to that point because I was avoiding the main storyline for so long, and now I've finally just did the thing with the werewolf in the garden. So that's good, and I'm about there. But I mean, I'm like level 20 something. I'm like way past where I should really be in the main storyline at this point in terms of level.
It's not a bad position to be in.
You should play on the hardcore mode. You could do everything in the game and still be underleveled.
Oh, well, I'm not playing on Death March. I'm playing on
Yeah,
the one just underneath that. Blood and Swords or whatever the fuck it's called.
The XP is just stupidly low when you're playing on that difficulty.
And I played some Rocket League. I think Pop and I, we haven't played in about a week and a half or so, but we've been playing some Rocket League.
I've been working for a good week and a half straight,
Yeah,
so
that's probably
that explains that.
But nuclear power plant simulator?
More like nuclear power plant, get some fucking work done.
Weren't you telling me about the awesome simulator that you guys had there?
Oh yeah, we got like a new digital simulator and whatnot, glass panel simulator. So that was pretty cool. I wish I got more time to play with that. Maybe when I get my new job, I took an operations test. Actually on Thursday, so hopefully I get the results back either tomorrow or Tuesday. And yeah,
you should turn that into a video game.
Ops. I really should, and I probably could. Honestly, my computer could probably run that whole simulator, as well as that thing runs itself. But that aside, it's been one hell of a week. I spent like 48 hours, literally 12 hours each day for 4 days straight, tearing apart bus duct and high voltage transformers.
Oh, that sounds exciting, Baba.
Yeah,
but it has nothing to do with video games.
There's no time for games. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no time for games. The week and a half since we played Rocket League.
Unless you make a simulator game of what you do at your job.
It would probably not sell very well. People would think, "Oh man, nuclear power, it's awesome. Good to run a plant." And then you go get there in your 5 minutes, you're gonna be like, "How the fuck have these guys not killed themselves making a career out of this shit?"
You never know. I mean, maybe you get it published by Adult Swim Games, and you'll be a millionaire tomorrow, and then you can quit your job.
I would love to quit my job.
Do something you always wanted to do. Like
I haven't even bought fucking Mario Maker. I haven't bought Mario Maker yet. It's been a week and a half. Like, yeah, it's
this guy's now playing MGS5. You're not making Mario levels. The world is ending.
We're getting old.
We are fucking old.
Speak for yourself.
Hey, I haven't played any video games these last 2 weeks either.
Well, because you've been moving.
Yeah, there's that. Well, I played a little bit of Vita, I guess.
Oh yeah, tell me what you've been playing. Tell us all what you've been playing.
Dungeon Travelers 2.
What is Dungeon Travelers 2? You have to educate us. We don't play Japanese games or have a Vita. We established this like a month ago.
It's a dungeon crawler on the Vita.
All right, you've boiled it down to its basic components. All right, listen. Anybody else play anything interesting that they want to bring up before we move on to the news? All right, fine. We'll talk about news. So we've already talked about Nintendo. Let's move on to our wonderful friends over at GameStop.
Those crazy GameStop people.
Oh yeah, those crazy GameStop people are back at it, and GameStop, and this is a policy that went into effect actually last month, and I don't think anybody knew about it, is now refusing to sell consoles that actually come bundled with digital copies. So what do we think about this? I know what we're gonna say, but I want the audience to hear our lovely voices.
I think they're still grasping at straws, trying to preserve this completely outdated resale business model that they've got.
And of course it's working because there are game developers and game publishers that cater to this shit.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous because I felt, if Sony strikes a deal with Ubisoft to put a digital copy of a game inside a console bundle, then GameStop goes and talks to Sony and is like, hey, listen. We are clearly the number one retailer of your console in, X territories or whatever. But we don't like that deal you made with Ubisoft. We'll pay, we want to strike a new deal where we can give out a physical copy of the game. And obviously, Sony doesn't give a shit, right? They're really fucking over Ubisoft or whatever company they made the deal with initially. Also, they can sell you the fucking game. They can get the game back, give you some shitty money, and then sell for $50 to the next sucker.
There's people out there doing this. I don't understand why.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
They've clearly never heard of eBay.
Yeah. No, they haven't heard about eBay, I don't think.
Well,
it's like watching Pawn Stars. Like, no one's ever heard of fucking eBay on that show.
In all fairness, it takes a lot more effort to put something up on eBay and sell something on eBay to go into GameStop and throw it, handing the guy the game and being done with it.
Getting a near fraction of what it's worth.
I guess. I mean, what you're basically saying is that, let's say, they basically buy like a game for anywhere between $25 and $30 if it's a brand new release. That's not crazy, right? In terms of bang it back. So you bought the game for $60 in most cases. You're going to sell it back for between $25 and $30. What you're telling me
is it $25 and $30? I thought it was lower than that, $20.
If it's within like 2 weeks of the game coming out, like they usually have a board like above their registers in the back.
It has to be like a best-selling like AAA game.
Yeah. So let's say 25 is the top end here, right? 50% of what they're actually going to resell it for. What you're telling me is that driving to GameStop and handing them that is $25. That $25 is worth. That's what you drove basically to lose, to $25. You could just sit in your own home, put it on eBay, grab a box art copy cover off of fucking Google or whatever, or take a screenshot with your cell phone and email it to yourself, and sell the game for like $40. And instead of driving to GameStop, you can drive to the fucking post office instead, put it in a bubble mailer and ship it out to some idiot.
And not even mentioning that the entire practice is decidedly detrimental to the industry as a whole. You're reselling a game. That's another, copy that's not being sold. The developers aren't getting the money for it.
Yeah, and yet this keeps going. And you're right. GameStop is grabbing at straws here. And I just feel like they need to go away. Like Sony and EA and Microsoft, which are the companies specifically that were mentioned in this Giant Bomb article that have struck deals with GameStop to not include digital copies of their stuff inside. These guys need to stop this shit, because what kind of payback are they getting if they know that they're losing money on their titles in this way? Because GameStop is just putting them out. I mean, is the physical stores like worth all this crap?
No, again, they're just grasping at straws here, trying to hold on to this, I guess, still profitable business model as long as they possibly can, and engaging in these discussions with Microsoft and Sony and getting them to acquiesce to these insane demands when everybody knows it is in the best interest for their ecosystems to not let this practice happen.
Why do publishers include retail exclusive DLC and whatever you want to call it, content?
I don't get that either. That pre-order culture bullshit drives me up a wall. Like, oh, if you pre-order from here, from Best Buy, you get this. If you pre-order from GameStop, you get this. I don't get it. Like, what is the point of that? How many people actually go and pre-order from like Walmart, Best Buy, and GameStop to get all 3 pre-order bonuses? Who the fuck does that? Why would you ever do that?
But there are people who do.
Well, really in the chat suggesting competition, but the thing is, there is no competition, because realistically, they're all selling the game for the same price. No one's allowed to break street date, otherwise they're going to lose their license to sell that particular game. I don't know what form of competition it would be, although I mean that's a good guess. I don't get it, because no one's selling the game any cheaper than anyone else.
It's just publisher bullshit. They're the only ones who profit from that. Developers don't like doing it.
I'm sure they don't. I mean, you don't see.
They've come out and even said, we don't like doing this, but the publisher wants us to do this.
And talking about GameStop gets me so fucking riled up. Any other thoughts on this before I go and blow up a GameStop? All right. So IGN recently put out an article coming out of TGS that the Sony Project Morpheus has actually gotten an official name now. It's called PlayStation VR. How fucking original could you get?
PlayStation VR.
PlayStation VR. Yes,
PlayStation
indeed.
VR.
PlayStation Eye 2.0.
Not to be confused with that other VR.
PlayStation VR. And the news, there's a very little bit of news around this, but what they've said is that it's going to be priced as a new gaming platform. That is specifically what they said. They're on track to release around the first half of 2016, and it's going to be about 10 titles available within the first year. So, not bad, right?
Yeah, that pricing was actually fairly surprising. Like we know a lot of the competitors, Steam and HTC's, VR headset, they're looking to come in way less expensive. We know the Oculus guys are aiming for, they haven't said anything official, but something around like 250. If they're saying this PlayStation VR is going to cost as much as a new gaming platform, then we can only anticipate like $350, $400. I mean, isn't that what the going price of like a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One is?
Maybe it's the price of a Wii.
I wonder how many of those 10 games are actually going to be games and not some fucking tech simulator, walking simulator, experience simulator.
Well, there's a
Fucking
few that are going to be like that, and then there's a few that are designed like actual games, and some of them are just gimmicky games, so they're not really going to be, they're going to be something you play for 15 minutes and then you're bored.
Just the tech isn't there. It's still not there. I don't have faith. Still not gonna have faith.
There was one cool VR game that I had heard about. It's called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Did you guys see that one?
Yeah, I've seen a few. I know what most of those 10 titles are. Actually, I've seen them in some form or another.
I mean, I'll give a brief overview of what this particular game is. It's a two-person VR game. One person's in the headset, and one person is in the game, but not in the headset, I believe is how it works. And the person in the VR headset is actually looking at a complicated device that is a bomb. And the other person has a manual which is written incredibly convoluted and difficult to understand. And the idea is that the two people are trying to communicate with each other to determine what the bomb looks like, and then the other person's looking in the manual to find the bomb that matches the description to decipher the instructions on how to defuse the bomb. So the idea is you keep talking to each other to figure it out so nobody explodes.
How is that premise any different than just IKEA furniture?
There's something similar like that on like the mobile platform. I think it was like a 4-player game, and each person was like operating some type of large like control panel, and like instructions would come across on their phone or tablet, and they would have to give the instructions to other people. Engage like phase inverter relay Delta 5 or something. I don't know. It's fairly enjoyable, but
yeah,
in a VR, I don't know if VR doesn't do much for that experience.
There's also tabletop games that function kind of like that as well, where you have to instruct somebody with limited knowledge, or they just can't see anything or whatever. So I mean, I don't think it's really that bad a concept. I think it could be fun, but again, it's gimmicky. It's not something you're going to want to play constantly.
Yeah, and it's only 2-player.
There was a 5-player VR thing, but it's one person with the headset, and then the four players are kind of using the controllers, and I think it's kind of like a shooter actually, and they're basically playing like a Left 4 Dead style shooter where or Evolve would probably be a better example, where there's one big monster and then the 4 are trying to take it down.
Yeah, I've heard a decent amount about like the asymmetrical VR games where the person in the headset sees something different than the rest of their team, and team-based co-op type of games. And I think they're just trying a little bit of everything out to see like what's going to stick and what they should focus on developing on, what's going to be the next cash cow for VR. Like nobody really knows yet, and that's kind of scary to think, because we've been talking about VR for about a year now on this podcast, and it's been in the news for as long or longer, and really. There isn't one game that people are going to be like, oh, this is the game that, is going to be copied over and over and over again, replicated to success across all 3 headsets that we've seen. We just haven't seen that game yet. It just hasn't happened. And, who knows what it's going to be, or if that game will ever really exist.
I know what's going to be super successful.
Tell us. I'm curious.
Virtual waifus.
Already wildly successful.
Okay. Can't argue with that one. Pornography will be very successful.
Replacement for the hug pillows.
Yeah, I mean, we know there's good games coming. Like pretty much, you've got a lot of developers out there working in Unity right now, mostly because of its cross-platform abilities, and it's very friendly VR integration. At least with the Oculus VR sets, and maybe HTC's Valve's little conundrum at this time, contraption rather. But yeah, who knows about the PlayStation side? I don't know very many Unity games have been converted over to the PlayStation. So.
And coming along with this announcement, with them saying new gaming platform price, the PS4 got a price drop, and what did it drop down to exactly, May? I don't know.
About $350 in the end.
Okay.
I think it was.
I wonder if this is prep for their 4K service consoles they're going to be releasing.
I didn't hear anything about that at TGS, I don't think.
Not at TGS. It's been something they've said they were going to release. Hardware capable 4K, like Netflix, stuff like that.
Do you guys think like the I mean, we've sort of alluded to it already, but the price on this thing being around $300, is that, you think that's going to give Oculus and HTC and Steam like an idea of what they should be pricing their unit at, or do you think they already have like a price they're going to go with?
No, I just want to clarify for a second. It's $290. It's dropping to in yen, which is $35,000.
I think they're going to try and keep those separate.
The price points will be different.
Same. I mean, the PCs never tried to go, oh, okay, this is what consoles are selling for.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. Consoles don't price to what PCs are, obviously, as PCs are relatively more expensive and mostly. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, now that we know that the Vive is coming in Q1, we know this is coming in the first half. Like, we don't really know what Oculus is going to be, but I can't imagine it's going to be any later than the summer of next year if they plan on staying competitive.
I think if VR has any chance, Oculus and Vive are going to do it. I don't think the consoles are going to do it.
I don't know. I think the consoles have a better chance than the PC, honestly.
Well, as a more mass production unit, maybe, but it's like quality in a prosumer type of object now.
Well, I think the PC definitely has, better cadre of like launch titles coming out for those units, and with Star Citizen and Eve Valkyrie and so on.
Yeah, and PlayStation's style of game, as we've talked about before, are probably going to be wildly different than what we're actually going to see on the other headsets. I mean, they've created their own studio just to focus on games for the Morpheus, the PlayStation VR now. So I'm sure the games aren't going to be completely different.
So has Oculus. They've got their own internal development teams working on games that we haven't even seen yet.
Well, I mean,
that's true. That's true. We don't know.
VR for consoles is going to be like the Wiimote and Kinect. It's going to do very, very well first 3 years, and then it's going to drop off, and nobody's going to care about those useless gimmicks anymore. VR for the PC is going to be the opposite. I'm sure it's not going to probably sell as well initially, but it's going to have more retention.
Well, I'll tell you this time next year, we're going to have a shitload to talk about in terms of VR and the games that we're all experiencing and playing and seeing how different they are. And were they what we expected? Did they fall short? All that kind of stuff. Also, now all the game shows that are that give out awards and shit every year, they're going to have like a new categories for these games, right? We're going to actually get like a public opinion or something like that on what VR games are good and which ones suck.
By public opinion, you mean a paid opinion?
That's what I mean. Yes, the promoted opinion.
I hope there's games that are actual games in the VR, just more of a secondary supplement to it, instead of the gimmick just being, oh look, you can look to the left and look to the right. Isn't this fun?
I don't know. I don't think they've quite figured out all the stuff just yet. I mean, there's so many different games out there for this right now. Just haven't seen one that people are like, oh, this is really super awesome, amazing. Let's talk about.
I want stuff to come out. Just want it to come out.
Yeah. I want to see it. I mean, I'm tired of talking about it at this point. I want to see what it's all about now. All right, so Naughty is going to take us through this one, but apparently there's going to be a new Apple TV coming out of Apple.
Yeah, Apple's kind of trying to migrate their Apple TV to the more of like a micro console type architecture. They've beefed up the hardware significantly. And they've got a new controller, which is basically a kind of a flat black thing with a glass surface and a couple buttons. One of them lets you talk to Siri. I guess the biggest thing we're interested in here is they're really trying to develop a gaming ecosystem for this thing. So much to the point with the Apple TV's tvOS is going to set kind of a standard for game development based upon some of the framework and SDKs that Apple's been developing, but they're kind of going about it in all the wrong way. So they've got this controller, but it's by no stretch, a normal, gaming controller with a couple analog sticks and buttons and analog triggers and whatnot. They have a glass controller with a touch surface, and they're very adamant that developers support this controller for every game that is developed, which is contrary to what they had originally supported. They basically said that developers would be able to make their games require like a third-party, controller if necessary, but that's no longer the case. They are adamant now that all games in this environment are going to support this Apple controller.
What concerns me, besides the controller thing, the controller they've been showing off a lot is one of the SteelSeries ones, I believe. That's compatible with some iOS devices.
For the third-party controllers, right?
Yeah. But the price point on this, especially now hearing that the PS4 is dropping price. I mean, I know, there's other micro consoles out there. We know about the Amazon Fire, obviously the Ouya from the failure from last year. This thing, the 64 gigabyte version, this costs $200. I mean, that's a lot of fucking money for a micro console that plays games, that does, TV-based services that you also have to pay additional subscription fees to in some cases. Like, the price point just to me seems high, and I know that Apple always prices their shit pretty high anyway when people buy it. But just looking at it from like what you could get for a little bit more money, to me seems like this isn't a very good gaming console for the price.
Games you could already play on your phone, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in a micro console purely for the gaming side of things, then like NVIDIA's Shield is a far superior device. In fact, I'm going to go out and say NVIDIA's Shield is far superior to this thing in every single way.
If you're interested in a micro console purely for gaming, you're probably interested in emulating, which I would go with Anoia for that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, get a tablet and do that.
That's pretty sad, too. I don't think we've recommended the Ouya for pretty much anything.
Or the Shield, for that matter.
Yeah.
That project was a fucking... No one gave a shit about that after it came out. And then they put out another one, like, right after it, like... No one even cares.
Yeah, how about you just like go stay away from micro consoles and just, play real games with your master PC race,
Also, I had also heard that like the games that are actually coming out, and this is probably going to be a changing policy, but that the games that are being developed for the Apple TV can only be like 200 megabytes or whatever the size is. It's like really small. I don't know if they're going to backpedal on that policy or whatever, but I mean 200 megabytes, it's I don't know how much game you can get out of 200 megabytes. I think it's like May saying, they're mobile games is what they really are.
That's precisely what they are, but you'll be able to play them in 4K on this Apple controller. I don't know. I think they've really, really kind of hamstringed a lot of the developers by forcing them to use that controller.
Yeah. It seems like a silly thing.
Yeah, I mean, if Apple's trying to make serious inroads into gaming, this is not the way to do it.
I don't think Apple has ever really cared about games, and that's my thing with them. Like, I don't think they give a shit about games. I mean, their general policy on the way they view games has always been really stupid to me. I mean, how many? It was only a couple months ago that they ended up banning all games that had the Confederate flag in it without even thinking about what the context of the flag was in those games. Like, they don't have a very good track record for how they perceive games, in my opinion.
Can we even? I mean, does Apple care about anything? I mean, they
care about money.
Well, they make shit, and somehow it sells a shit ton of money. It makes them just money.
All right. Well, if you want an Apple TV, there's a new one coming out. It's $200, so the 32 gigabyte model is $149. So good luck on your pursuit to play shitty games on your Apple TV. Okay, so let's talk about Destiny. The new Taken King expansion is out. Yes, right? Came out?
Yeah,
yes, 15th.
All right. Did you guys get your hands on it? Play it? Impressions? Anything?
Nope. I do not have a console, and it is not on the PC.
No.
It is true. It is not
I
on
bought
the PC.
it. I haven't tried it yet. Seen a lot of videos, people praising it a lot. Well, especially the changes they did on the 8th. The Destiny 2.0, as it were.
I've heard that the systems are improved. They're what you would expect. It's more like a level up and go get your gear and not worry about gear to level up kind of thing. It's more familiar, I guess, to most people. But the most surprising news that come out of this actually is that this became, by Activision and Sony Records, the most downloaded day one game in PlayStation history, and that to me is like super surprising.
That's a good sign for digital distribution.
Why is that surprising?
Surprised that it sold more than the actual release of Destiny.
Well, day one. That's how it is with MMO expansions as well.
It's exciting because it tells us that a lot of people weren't duped into GameStop and Best Buy, pre-order bonuses.
There's that, although they probably still bought shit tons of Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull.
Lots of Red Bull. No, it is good. I think what not is why it's surprising. It's because it was digitally downloaded, and that is really important to see that a console just made huge headway with an expansion pack on their console. In terms of download, like that's crazy. That's great, and I'm sure this wasn't a small download.
We all know it's a foregone conclusion that the console ecosystems are going to gravitate to digital only in the near future, and it's good to see us getting closer to that.
Indeed, it is. I wonder what the game that it actually surpassed as the most downloaded game on the PlayStation Network.
Yeah, I don't know. The article mentioned that they're kind of being really cloy with the numbers right now. They don't want to release that yet. I guess they probably have quarterly earnings statements coming out and things of that nature. They want to get out first.
Yeah, they don't want to tell anybody just yet.
I'd probably assume either Final Fantasy 14 or like Call of Duty game.
Yeah, so it also
those are good guesses.
Franchise records for both total players and peak online concurrency, which means they had a ton of people playing this thing all at once.
Again, pretty good
I
signs.
think, they must be very happy with this.
I'm sure the PlayStation Network was working in tip-top condition as it always is.
Considering it's an expansion that was selling for almost the full price of the game.
It had full-blown commercials on television too. I mean, I don't know how much TV you guys watch, but on on AMC, on FX, like some of the adult channels that people in the 30s watch. I saw them all the time.
It wasn't even just commercials and everything. I've seen this shit all over the place. I mean,
it was plugged on a Jimmy Kimmel show. I remember there was a bunch of blowback from that.
That probably helps.
They were like, order it from GameStop. Oh,
yeah,
no.
I think there's like Taco Bell and some fast food chain had this shit on it as well. So I mean,
you're right.
They've had tons of advertisement.
They have, and apparently it paid off. I mean, if they got this many downloads and they made a shit ton of money, I mean, flat out $40 a pop. PlayStation Network gets their cut or whatever, and then Activision, Bungie took home the rest. Not a bad haul.
And then they get to write a big, massive marketing check.
Yep. Got to pay off all those people that helped us push our game. All right, so a couple of quick bits of news too. Apparently, since Super Mario Maker has released, there have been over 1 million levels uploaded in the first week. Crazy stuff, huh, guys?
It is pretty crazy. I think there was a statement in that article that basically said it took like Little Big Planet something like 5 years to get to like 8 million levels created, and then they started crunching the numbers and basically said if Mario Maker stays on track, they'll do it in like 8 weeks. Hit 5 million.
You got to think one of the biggest IPs out there in terms of gaming, and Nintendo owns this. They own the console, they own the software, and the network and everything else. And this was the exact thing that people on console, in a way, right? We talked about emulation last time, but what console were looking for in a way, like a Little Big Planet alternative to that was Mario themed on their Wii U. And why not? Because it takes good use of the gamepad and all the other functionality of the Wii U in a great way. This is a home run for Nintendo.
Oh yeah, hugely successful for them.
I'd say it's more like a grand slam, honestly. This is fantastic. And there's also the caveat, don't know if you guys kept up on this, but I have, even though I have been very, very busy. All the online levels are actually beatable. In order for a level to be uploaded, the creator has to beat it at least once.
Yes, you have to be able to clear it.
So it's not like you're gonna go look at some random thing and you're just gonna get completely, screwed. It's not gonna be like, you're doing some emulation or some, ridiculous ass ROM. It is beatable. It might be difficult, but it is beatable. Some of those ROM levels are not very
playable
beatable.
and beatable levels in the classic Mario style. You simply couldn't get enough.
Yeah, well, it has
How
3
many of
tile
these-
sets.
Well, you can change the style, but
It's got Super Mario 1, Super Mario 3, and Super Mario World style. I don't believe you can mix them. And in terms of the assets that you can use and the tricks and stuff that you can use in the game, they're actually releasing them like over time, a little bit like how they did with the weapons and the maps in Splatoon, where when you buy the game, you don't get access to all the tools. Depending on how long you play the game, it unlocks like additional stuff to put inside the game, like different shells and all that, different elements from the game. So you can't make the most advanced levels on day one. You kind of have to play it through, make a couple of levels, get better at the game itself in order to be able to access the higher level of tools. To
I did read about that. I think they actually ended up doing like a massive backpedal on that. They originally had intended for it to take like several days, maybe in like weeks, to unlock this stuff, and then they came through and patched it and made this stuff really easy to unlock.
Well, because what I heard is that people, they probably did backpedal on, but what I had heard that people were like changing their clock on their Wii U to actually be a future date so that the game would be tricked into unlocking stuff. Because apparently there was a workaround for it like that. You could do that. But in any case,
God, really?
yeah, it's stupid like that.
I'm wondering how many of these 1 million levels are actually good, and how hard it is to find an actual good level.
Well, that's out. You have to go and try them. I mean, so many levels.
Papa's gonna have to tell us.
You're gonna have to play like all 1 million of them, Papa. You're gonna have to take vacation again next week and just play all the Mario levels.
I think we need more than one.
I'm sorry,
Or-
I'm still rolling on the clock export. That just cracks me up.
Yeah.
Like, developers still have not realized that the number one rule when dealing with online content, never trust client data.
Well, they actually did.
I heard about that from the Giant Bomb guy, so I'm pretty sure that is legit.
They've had stuff like that though, but I think it was Fez did something like that, but I think it was legit. Like you were supposed to legitimately go and change the clock unless they actually expect you to sit there for hours and hours on end and wait for the thing to hit at the right time.
Well, the takeaway here is that you've got a first-party AAA title from Nintendo that is $60 and comes with a lot of content that is now only ever going to keep increasing. So it seems like a good buy, like a really good buy, and probably a really good game from all accounts. Everyone who I've come across at work, a couple people, friends at work that have played it, they said that they like making the levels. It's fun, and even if they suck at making the levels, they have a good time doing it at least.
It's a Mario game. It's sandbox. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's that's what it is.
You make platformers. There you go. All right, so 2 more pieces of news. Telltale Games is apparently remastering their Back to the Future game for the 30th anniversary of the movie.
This is true. Yeah, that game came out, I don't know, it was released in, 5 episodes. I think it came out a few years back. And it was actually fairly well done. I mean, the reviews were somewhat mixed about it. Some people didn't get what they wanted out of the game, but a lot of people did. And, Telltale did their due diligence on this. They got Christopher Lloyd back there to do, Doc Brown. They couldn't get Michael J. Fox to do Marty McFly, but the guy they got was just phenomenal. Like, did a spot on, Marty McFly.
He was very good.
Even so much to the point where I think he was actually complimented by Michael J. Fox. Like, one of the big problems and one of the off-putting things about the game is when you think about Back to the Future, there's really only several main characters, and the character of Biff Tannen is one of them. And not to put down the voice actor they got to do Biff's voice, but it just was not very good, and it was off-putting for a lot of people.
So part of the remasters are bringing him back.
Yeah, so with this remaster, they actually got Tom Wilson to come in and redo all the Biff dialogue. I guess what apparently happened was when they were originally seeking the voice actors, Tom Wilson had told his agency at some point like he wasn't interested in doing any Back to the Future like fan events or whatnot. So when the Telltale game offer came through to his agents, they just kind of threw it away and never got to him. So somebody actually got to him this time, and he was very interested in doing it and came in and did the voice.
This is exactly what we need from Telltale to make another goddamn game in their shitty ass engine instead of fixing the damn engine.
Well, but it's an older game. They're remastering it. I mean, let's not think that they're throwing a shit ton of resources at this or anything. I mean, they're just sprucing it up a little bit, getting a
It's a
paint
bit of a
job.
cash grab.
Well,
with the
they're
30th
putting
anniversary.
Yeah, it is.
They're putting in their new engine, and they're going to make models and everything for it. It's not just it's.
They probably came up with like an importer at this point to.
Yeah, I'm gonna
you
guess
know.
they have some type of upgrade path.
Yeah.
for it.
Sure that if they put in the work like that, they're going to make it so that it doesn't work for just one of their games. It works for all of their games going forward.
I'm saying
We're in remaster culture.
For a second and work on their damn engine.
We're stuck in the middle of pre-order and remaster culture right now. That is 2015 to 2014 to 2015 and onwards in a nutshell.
Don't forget microtransactions on this DLC.
That's right. You know, one of the things we don't have in our document is that there was already Assassin's Creed Syndicate DLC announced.
And a season pass.
And a season pass. It's like, what the fuck, guys?
Pre-order the game and the season pass now. Come on, it's Ubisoft. You know they're good for it.
So ridiculous. So ridiculous.
You know they're getting desperate when they want you to buy all the DLC months, sometimes years in advance.
Yeah, I think it was brought up as a possible polarizing topic, but one of these days we're gonna take these season passes to task.
One of these days.
Time has
Rip them
come.
a new ass.
We don't have a show or something coming, like a December, January podcast when there's nothing going on.
Well, people were like so excited that Fallout 4 announced their season pass, and I'm like,
I was not one of those people.
I'm wondering, like, did you guys not forget that these guys are the ones who did fucking horse armor that started this whole DLC craze?
Horse armor.
Yeah, Bethesda's always been fairly hit or miss with their DLC. Like a lot of the stuff for Skyrim and Oblivion was kind of meh. I mean, there were some good ones, but yeah, I wouldn't be paying for a season pass. But
Their Fallout 3 DLC was pretty good.
in fact,
I
the
didn't
season
get
pass
It was
through all the
okay.
New Vegas
encouraged
ones.
me to wait for a Game of the Year edition.
It was okay. I wasn't a fan of. I think it was a New Vegas DLC. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I didn't like it very much. I didn't like Dead Money very much. It was too hard.
It's just they need that pre-sale to go, oh look, people want to buy it.
It's like
Keep doing it.
it's like the people in charge no longer have faith in the IP. They have faith in like what you can milk from the IP, like over the course of a year and a half to 2 years, however long they think the game's gonna last. Fallout 4 is gonna sell like Mario Maker a bajillion copies. I would love to see how many pre-orders they have for that fucking game on paper. Like I would love to see it. Because it's probably 2-3 million, maybe.
You think
Across all the
this
platforms,
early?
yeah.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, man. Everyone who was sitting in that Bethesda press conference or who watched it probably pre-ordered that game. I pre-ordered 2 copies.
They definitely tried to swoon you in that
They did. Tom
press
Howard.
conference.
Tom Howard
Everyone
is a
in the crowd
swooner.
Gets these figures. Gets these little pop figures.
Just remember that that video was so popular and ended up on Pornhub and had 100,000 views or more. All right, so the final story we're going to talk about today before we get into some of the TGS highlights are Konami. Our friends at Konami have officially ceased all AAA production on all intellectual properties except Pro Evolution Soccer, because we're all waiting for that one.
Fade into oblivion, Konami.
Indeed.
Do not struggle against the pillow suffocation. Just
I guess
reminded
they
me of
had a
that.
good run, and this is about the end of it.
It reminded me of that hospital scene that Seaford was trying to draw last time.
shh, it's for the best, Konami.
This is kind of contrary to what they had said a couple of months back, which was a vague comment about how, they were planning on continuing certain franchises, and now it's like someone just decided, nope, we're done. We're cutting it off right here. We're going to make this soccer game. We're going to finish up Metal Gear Solid Online, and then we're done. We're out. We're making pachinko machines. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, it begs the question, like, what are they going to do with those franchises? Are they going to just license them out or just sit on them for a while?
Pachinko?
They need to sell them. Get rid of them. Stop
Probably
it.
more money to be made in licensing them.
Yeah, I think if Konami cared about the customer, they would sell the IP. but they don't. They care about themselves and making money, so the chances are it's going to be licensed out to some shitty game companies that are going to make crappy Metal Gear Solid spin-off titles on your, your fucking iPhone and whatever else, because that's what they're going to do with it. Because they're dicks.
Just whatever new crap they're gonna do, they have a fucking Everest uphill battle to try and gain whatever support for the platform they're gonna go through.
Yeah,
because they're just their joke now. Nobody
they're a
loves
joke,
Konami.
yeah. But I don't think this will be the last time we talk about Konami on this podcast or we see news about them, because this is just the beginning of some new, direction that they're heading in terms of how they're going to use those IPs. And I guarantee that news is going to be really fucking disappointing, but when it happens, we're going to talk about it.
I mean, if this was like the 80s, it'd be like, okay, Nintendo is going to retreat from the NES market and make pinball machines.
Yeah, that's
go back to making card games.
It's absurd. I don't know what they're thinking.
We haven't known that ever. Ever. But
Their
anyway,
CEO is apparently fucking batshit crazy. I think that would be probably the big problem there.
yeah, but he's not going to give a
Just
power.
come in one day. Yeah, I don't like video games anymore. And all the yes man where he says, "Oh yeah, boss, brilliant, yes, perfect."
I think at the end of the day, when you think about how much Metal Gear Solid 5 cost you in money, you probably don't have as difficult a time letting go AAA production in general. How much did the game cost? $80 million to make?
So much money on the Fox engine. God, $20 million on the Fox engine.
Though.
One game. One.
Now, yeah.
Silent Hill was supposed to be the other game. Canceled that.
But they could turn it into a package, right? And they can license out the engine as well, right?
They
Something like
could.
Unity does, or
But are they going to? They're Konami. Who knows what the fuck Konami is doing?
yeah, we don't know.
Nothing good. That's for damn sure. Nothing without their master game developer either.
And Ren in the chat is right. Silent Hill could have been one of the best games, to come out, or Silent Hill or whatever it was called. Silent Hills, yeah. But Konami managed to get a bunch of celebrities in a room that with a lot of talent and fuck it up. It's because that's Konami. That's what they do. Anyway,
They excel at that.
they excel at that. You're right. So let's talk about some of the news coming out of TGS. I'm going to let AI take us through this one. Tokyo Game Show. We go hi. We speak Japanese. I'm not trying to insult anyone. That's just how they sound. All right, why don't you take us through your top couple of games that came out of TGS?
All right, I'm only possibly allowed to briefly mention the other games, but I'm going to talk about the top games. Well, the first one, not really my top game, but I think it was interesting enough to mention. Was Setsuna: A Sacrifice in Snow. We didn't see a lot of gameplay of this. There was a gameplay video, a demonstration on the show floor. Not really in any of the events like the PlayStation conference or anything. And it's from Square Enix's new JRPG focused studio. They're doing traditional JRPGs. They're called Tokyo RPG Factory. And it's just interesting because Square Enix is going back to making, Square Enix Studios is going back to making solely JRPGs like they should be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because that is what made them famous. That is what made them rich. Why the fuck not? And this game, I think I was saying before the podcast, you could sum this game up by saying, looking at it and being like, if you like Chrono Trigger, the way it played, you will probably like this. Is
Definitely
that fair?
keep an eye on that. Yeah, that's fair.
The combat system looks like Chrono Trigger. You walk up to enemies and then you spread out into your three, you have ATB, and then you attack them, you run at them and hit them with your sword, you jump back. Like it's Chrono Trigger. That's what it looks like to me.
It's very no frills. Nothing new or innovative really shown so far, but
if
that's what people want, so.
The stories coming from the writers at the Tokyo RPG Factory are good, then we might be looking at a pretty good, dynasty of games coming up over the next decade or so coming out of Square Enix.
Absolutely, and this is what people want.
Well, that's what people said they want.
Well, I mean,
let's see if that's actually what they want.
No, there's pretty hard proof that this is what people want. I mean, Bravely Default sold a shit ton of copies.
You're absolutely right. You're 100% right.
All right.
So what else?
Yes. What else is on your huge list there, man?
Gravity Rush 2, also Gravity Days 2 in Japan, got announced,
Gravity Days.
and it's
This
coming
game
out on.
looks really impressive.
Yeah, it's actually it's a sequel to a Vita game, and the Gravity Rush as well is coming out on PS4. So if you want to pick it up and play it, I'd recommend it. It's a really fun game. You manipulate gravity, and whatever direction you put gravity in, that's the entire world is shifted in that direction. So you can do some really interesting things in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at these environments, I mean, they are just immaculately detailed and beautifully colored. It just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks very impressive for a game that you saw come out on Vita and has now evolved to the console, and the care that they're bringing to the series here. I appreciate that.
Well, it was very graphically impressive on the Vita as well.
It was. It absolutely was.
And this was a near a launch title as a Vita. It might have been a launch title.
It was, because I think when my wife was my fiance, she bought the Vita and she got Gravity Rush with it, I believe.
Yeah, and it's one of the highest reviewed Vita games.
The only reason I know anything about
it. Fantastic. So definitely look forward to it. I will be buying it. Some bad news. Persona 5 got delayed to spring 2016. I was actually having a conversation with Kyle in our community about this, and it was literally the day before this was announced, and he was arguing with me that no, they said it's going to release in 2015. I'm like, no way, it's not going to release.
You're wrong, Kyle.
You're wrong, Kyle.
Wrong, Kyle.
I just want to say that.
Suck it.
But the trailer looks absolutely amazing, and yeah, I know Gray and others have said, why would I want to play a Persona game? But
one of my great friends, Ala, who's in our Raid Static, she is a huge Persona fan, and she's tried to explain it to me in the past, the game, whatever. She's sat on the podcast to listen before. I know it's a good series. I know people love it, so I can't knock on it. Just not for me. Neither is this Gaia, which always reminds me of these games always come out around the same time, right? So
yeah, but you have to admit that trailer looks great.
Trailer looks great.
And the HUD, I love what they're doing with the HUD. Like we were talking about, that was a while ago with Star Citizen. I think this got announced around the same time. The Star Citizen HUD thing got announced as well. Or we got a new trailer that showed off the HUD, and they're doing some really awesome stuff with the HUD. I really love the way their HUD is. I know that's kind of a minor thing, but
No, but it brings the game to life. I mean, it shows you like the date. It has like this very relevant information on it, and it's clean, and it's got like this pop out sort of art, like it looks like a PDA, because I think that's part of is part of the game, right? Do everything on like a handheld, like a phone.
Yeah, I mean, how you bring information to the player is a critical aspect and often overlooked in most games. And it's, when you see games like Star Citizen and the development they've done on their HUD, you start to sit there and realize, like, why isn't anybody else doing this? And it's good to see people starting to follow along that.
Yeah,
they got the same guy who did the Iron Man HUD.
Yeah, he did
for
the
Star
Iron Man 2, I think.
Thing looks great, but it's delayed till spring, so oh well.
More time to polish it. Anyway, Odin Sphere, Leaf Razor, we get still some more gameplay of that. I'm also really looking forward to this game as well. It's kind of like, it's from Vanillaware. It's kind of similar to Muramasa. It's an action style game where you're 2D side scroller. Has a really, really unique art style, as do all Vanillaware games. Anyone else?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not into the Vanillaware games necessarily. I know that they're popular here and there. The art style to me is just bubbly Japanese looking art style.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't do it for me.
Kind of cliche, I guess. There's nothing there that's really making me go, "Wow, this is some awesome art." I'm glad this game is coming out.
I think it's maybe I just don't like the 2D side scroller thing, because I tried to play Dust Elysian Tale and I didn't dig that game, and
What?
It just, I don't know. Maybe I was too old. felt like that game was for someone who was like half my age when I was playing it. It was just very like campy.
It takes something fairly impressive, to really stand out these days, and I think this isn't it. I mean, you go look at a game like Corpses and Souls, which is under development, an indie title. I think it looks better.
Well, this is also a remaster of a PS2 game, so there's that.
Well, maybe that's that. Yeah.
Another one, maybe I'm not looking forward to as much, but was interesting because just we're seeing more. This is a more Western style game again, but it's from Eastern developers. It's more like Dark Souls again, and it's called Neo, and it has a samurai style theme, but it's kind of like Dark Souls-y in terms of difficulty and gameplay and everything, and the art style.
Yeah, it's a little more cartoony than Dark Souls, but yeah, the gameplay looks very similar.
And the protagonist looks like Geralt.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it'll do. I know a lot of people try to emulate the Souls-style gameplay, but it only seems like From Software is the one that's able to nail it. What else is on the giant list there?
All right, we got Star Ocean 5. I know a lot of people in the community are really looking forward to this one. We got Relly here. I know he's yeah.
Laser beam.
Yeah, I could probably name like 5 people that in the community that just in Neutral Impact that are interested in this game coming out. Popular series. I played Star Ocean 2, I think, ages ago.
And I mean, this has been announced for a while, but we did see a lot more gameplay of it. I know I went to trailer, but they had like an 8-minute demo of the gameplay. It looks really good, actually. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I liked Star Ocean 4 a little bit, but I did have some issues with it, like the grinding and the fucking character Limey. I hated that character so much. Actually, I hate all the characters in the game.
These games typically have like a very like old school kind of XP grind to them, don't they? Where like you kind of have to level up a little bit before like main story quest components and stuff. They've typically been like that, right?
Yeah.
The release date for this is apparently February 25th.
And they have a lot of improvements from the other Star Ocean games already. They've shown off. Like, I don't believe you could switch. Relly could probably clarify here. If you could switch characters on the fly, and you could do that in this one, and the combat's seamless, so you could just go right into it.
All right.
Whereas the previous games,
Tokyo Game Show.
Should I just briefly go over the other ones on the list, or we just want to skip those?
I think
anybody wants to hear you prattle off a list of games.
I think the Dark Souls 3 release, March 24th, was a big deal. Finally get that, on paper.
There's an Attack on Titan game coming out as well, and it doesn't look like total shit, like the other Attack on Titan game.
Yeah, it doesn't look like total shit. The actual video looked like total shit, but you could tell the game actual graphics are probably pretty good.
New Guilty Gear's coming out.
Yeah, and Ace Attorney 6.
Yes, which a lot of people
kind of
really
the big
love.
ones there. All right. So yeah, okay. So that's TGS. There's so many games we would have to do like 3 hours of the podcasting to cover them all, and we're not going to do that because it is a Sunday and we all have to go to work tomorrow. But we will talk more about the games as they are releasing. I'm sure with our upcoming game section as we go through. A lot of these are slated for spring and summer of next year, right?
And they're Japanese. A lot of them are Japanese only as well so far. So
yeah, so many of them are Japanese only. The ones that get localized, I'm sure we'll mention them. Okay, so announcements and debuts. There's a really short list. So if you play Rocket League, which I do, and Papa does, and
I hear that game is somewhat popular.
That game is amazingly popular for a really good reason because it is a hell of a lot of fun. It's super addictive. You just go in, play you think you play 4 or 5 matches, 3 hours have gone by.
Yeah, it's still holding itself up there on the top sellers list on Steam.
As well it should be. They are releasing a new DLC called Revenge of the Battle Cars, which is going to be bigger than the last DLC. It's going to come with 2 new bodies for your cars, 12 new decals, 3 paint jobs, 2 new wheels, 2 antenna, 2 boosts, and 4 toppers. And if you play Rocket League, you'll know what that means. And if you don't, then you don't know what the fuck that means. But basically, you can cosmetically change the way your car looks.
So for those of us who don't play, do these mods affect performance in any way, or are they just cosmetic, just purely cosmetic?
Really important to understand that Rocket League is a skill-based game, and that anything you do to trick out your car is purely cosmetic. It does not change the size of your hitbox, the speed you go, the boost, nothing, none of that stuff. Tricks are all the same. You just have to know how to do them in the game, and some of them come from just discovery. You have to play to understand the system of the game. Kind of like Dark Souls, right, Seifer?
You will not compare that game to Dark Souls. I will not allow
it. You really need to come and play with me, guys. Friday nights here at IGC, I'm trying to get a Rocket League gamer group type thing going. So if you are interested in playing Rocket League, some 3 vs 3 standard, or you want to play against each other, I would love to do 3 vs 3, all IGC members. That'd be awesome. Mix up the teams every now and then. That'd be fun. Friday nights between 8 and 9. We get that started. Me and Thaner usually play with a couple of the other Mid-Mountain guys. So come on down. We'll love to have you. And I have no idea what the second one on here is, the Happy Dungeon thing. I mean, I saw this trailer and I thought to myself, I know it's a sequel to an older game.
Is it?
Yeah, there's another free-to-play game not called Happy Dungeons, but called something else. Let me see if I can find it. But anyway, you want to tell people about this game, May?
I don't really know much about it. I know as much as you do.
All right.
It looks like it might be a MOBA.
It used to be called Happy Wars. Was the game that it's a mobile game. It was very pay to win, apparently, according to YouTube comments here. This one's coming up for Xbox, called Happy Dungeons. It's basically a shmup. I mean, you run around, you upgrade, you kill things. It's nothing too fantastical, I don't think.
And hopefully you buy a lot of microtransaction stuff on the way.
That's probably what they're going for, because I believe this game is actually free. I believe it's a free download. I have no idea how it even ended up on the podcast doc.
I have my suspicions. Yep.
Is there any reason why anyone will want to buy an Xbox One anymore? Because PlayStation just kind of shit all over them.
Backwards compatibility. That's this month and next month. They're rolling all that shit out, man. So yeah, there is a reason. I mean, it's an edge, but whether or not it's a meaningful edge to the player on that level is yet to be seen, because games are still being approved on a title by title basis about whether they're going to have backwards compatibility or not.
But PlayStation has PlayStation Now.
They sure do, May. They sure do.
They do.
They sure do. They also have PlayStation TV and all that other crap.
Why have backwards compatibility when you can just remaster the game and sell it to people again?
Yeah, right, Capcom, Okay, and then we only have a little bit for MMO news. We went over most of the MMO stuff last time from the 14 Live trailer and Guild Wars 2. But I just want to let people know that Ghost in the Shell First Assault, the closed beta signups are now available. If you go to firstassault.nexon.net/en.
Oh, red flags already.
Yes, it is Nexon. And you can go sign up for closed beta. I have no idea when it's starting, but you can go sign up for it now. So there you go.
Don't do that.
This people have been waiting for this Ghost in the Shell MMO for fucking ever.
But it's Nexon, so you're not going to be able to play it without spending a fortune in microtransactions.
I'm just saying.
Released a terrible trailer for it too, set to the Imagine Dragons Radioactive song. It is the most off-putting trailer I've seen in a long time.
Like I make no assumptions of whether the game will be good or not, or whether it looks nice. I'm just letting people know. I'm just the messenger.
Do we
It
even
looks
know
like
what
Deus
the
Ex
gameplay
Human
is?
Revolution with like a more blue, like teal kind of hue to it. That's pretty much what it looks like.
Oh, it's a generic shooter. Is that what it is?
I don't know. I honestly have no interest in it whatsoever. I just saw that the signups came across my feed, and I know that people have been clamoring for it.
Is this
I don't know
even
whether
an
that's a
MMO?
It is considered an MMO, yes.
It's just like an MMO by. I don't know. It looks like just a shooter. It's not really an MMO, is it?
Yeah, we could just move on.
Yeah,
It's being considered an
this is not the
MMO.
Ghost in the Shell game we wanted.
Just say it's being considered an MMO. That title and that word is, has a broad definition nowadays. So let's move into upcoming games coming out between September 21st, which is tomorrow, and October 4th, the day before the next podcast, the day of the next podcast. What do we got coming up, AI?
All right, we have Soma, horror adventure game coming out on PC and PS4, September 22nd.
This is made by the same folks who did Amnesia: The Dark Descent, because it takes place under like the Atlantic Ocean this time, kind of like in like a BioShock environment. But I don't know, where BioShock was a kind of a piss poor shooter. This game's sole goal in life is to scare the shit out of you.
This game's been in development for like 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. And people
Long time,
looking
yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah, and it looks really good. It does look like BioShock. The development team just did a little bit of a promotion. They were giving away Amnesia: Dark Descent on Steam for like a day or two, and I picked it up. Relly picked it up. I let him know that it was free. It was on his wish list. This game looks really cool, and it's coming out in 2 days. So if you want to be scared, you want to go back into the world of adventure horror, Soma might be the way to do it.
Indeed.
All right, we have Blood Bowl 2 coming out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It's a fantasy football game. Isn't it based on Warhammer?
Yeah, it's the literal fantasy football. Yeah, you guys didn't get the joke. It's basically a bunch of the Warhammer races. You've got the dwarves and order and chaos and troops, and it's playing football basically.
The first one was very much what do you call it? A cult classic.
Right.
Yeah, it's got a following.
There's some interesting features in this one. I guess there's league support for people who want to put leagues together, and they take it to the extreme in that your players can actually be killed on the field, and if they die, they're out. You have to go find the new player.
Yeah, it's a very interesting game, that's for sure. Brutal, and people like it.
Coming out on PC, we have Final Fantasy V is being remastered for PC, September 24th. This one's kind of surprising. I did play Final Fantasy V on an emulator, and it wasn't very good, in my opinion.
I'll dissent. I think Final Fantasy is a very good game. Final Fantasy V is a very good game. The twist in the game is kind of weak if you've played it, but the overarching story is it's not as good as 4, not as good as 6, but it is the perfect medium in the middle of that. The thing that confuses me about it is why you wouldn't want to play this on a PC when this is clearly a more of a a mobile handheld type of game. It's an old school Final Fantasy game, and no matter how much you remaster it, it's still going to be an old school ATB Final Fantasy game, and you want to play that on the go, not sitting at your PC. Plus, the price point is ridiculous. It's like $15-$20 for this game.
You want to play it on their Vita, you're saying?
Sure.
Is there ever going to be a point where there's not a re-release of Final Fantasy games?
Well, you won't see a real re-release of 6. They did the user interface update, but you'll never see that. That's it. I think they've covered all the originals now with Final Fantasy V, and they kind of went in order of popularity, I suppose.
What about 6 though? 6 is the most popular.
Well, yeah, but
they're not going to do it.
There's something to do with the licensing of the assets in the game that they no longer own. That they can't do an actual remake of that game. I don't know what
maybe they could do a.
I don't know what the details are.
Or not remake. What did they call it for Final Fantasy VII? And they do that for free, maybe.
Well, that's just a complete remake.
What a team that split from.
Yeah, remake.
They split from that original team to do Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, the games are similar.
Maybe
And they
that's why.
came out in similar time frames. It has something to do with the Square Soft merger that happened back then. Like, did something with I don't know what the details are. They've been lost to history, I'm sure. Somebody knows the answer. I don't.
Many lawyers were beaten over that.
Yes. All right, what else is coming out? So that was the 24th.
All right, the Flame in the Flood is coming to PC September 24th. This is PC. It's not coming on a
PC.
console. Okay.
PC only.
And it's a roguelite action adventure survival game.
Yeah, this one's
pretty
pretty
interesting.
cool. This is the one from the Molasses Flood, which is made up a lot of the like senior directors and senior developers from like Irrational Games who worked on BioShock. A lot of guys, some guys from Harmonix who did Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and Bungie guys responsible for Halo 2 and 3. I mean, having seen some gameplay footage of this, it reminds me a lot of like Don't Starve and combined with like The Long Dark. It's highly like kind of stylized environment. It's survival with crafting and I don't know. The game looks gorgeous. It's going to be roguelike, so it's going to have some high replay value, and you're probably going to die quite a few times. End up having to restart the game, but that's part of the fun. The soundtrack is amazing too. They got Chuck Reagan working on it, and, the Camaraderie, the Fearless Kin, and some other folks. It's an early access game, but very much looking forward to it. This one's going to keep me busy for a while.
I agree with everything you said, and I want to emphasize that the game looks beautiful. That's all I have to say. All right, next.
Might and Magic Heroes 7 is releasing for PC September 29th. It's a turn-based strategy game.
I'm amazed they still make Might and Magic games. I mean, they've been making Might and Magic games since I was in like diapers. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they haven't really changed much other than the graphics. I mean, they all still play, very similarly.
I mean,
That takes
people
like 3
buy
to 4
these
hours
games
a match.
still.
Yeah, I mean they're good games. I mean, but it is Ubisoft, so they have been fucking it over a little bit. But
Oh my god,
I mean,
it's
I enjoy
Ubisoft.
the
I didn't
game.
even know it was Ubisoft.
yes, it is. They own the Mighty Magic series.
Terrible. All right, couple more to go here.
Sword Coast Legends is coming out. Yay! For PC. I believe the console versions are releasing later.
And why does this sound familiar? Oh, it's a D&D game. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Dungeons and Dragons, kind of in the Neverwinter like Baldur's Gate style, except I think it's pretty much real time, and they've adopted and improved upon a lot of like the multiplayer and Dungeon Master modes from the Neverwinter Nights series, and in so much they've actually made like DM mode like a whole like style of its gameplay in this one. It looks fairly interesting.
Now, a lot of people are really excited for this one.
Yeah, it's
an upgrade Neverwinter, so
it's a lot of people are really looking forward to it. It won like best RPG at like E3 and other games conferences.
Good. And it was actually originally supposed to release September 8th, so it's getting pushed back till pushback.
Yeah, that's kind of the weird thing. So if you pre-ordered it, and depending on like what level you pre-ordered, basically determine what level of access you would get. And I guess like people started getting access to the DM mode, so they could start developing campaigns for people to play. And then like the later, like there's probably people already playing the game now, but the official release is the 29th there.
all right. Of course, you need a mandatory Weibo game on there, or Weibo, or however you pronounce that. Persona 4 Dancing All Night is coming out on PS Vita. It's a rhythm game based on Persona 4.
Fun. I don't get it, but okay. I'm so glad you didn't include a trailer with this, because I'd probably watch it and get mad.
Yeah, the English voice acting is terrible. I don't know why anyone would want to play with the English voice. I hope it has dual audio. It might actually be tolerable then, but even then, it's kind of a weird game. A lot of people are excited for it, I guess. And last On the list is Armicrog. We talked about that in our last podcast. It got delayed again to December 30th. It's a point-and-click adventure game.
This game looks exceedingly adorable.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliantly done with the kind of claymation, thing they've got going on. I guess they had a lot of bugs that cropped up right before release, so they had no choice but to push it back. But and it's like we say, better it come out working than come out broken.
Hopefully, it doesn't get pushed back again, so we don't have to talk about it the last next podcast.
Yeah, right.
Is anyone buying this when it releases?
If my backlog wasn't so big, I might. I've heard a lot of really good things from the people who have review code for this. They really enjoy the character interactions. The voice acting is very good from what I understand. The puzzles are not too difficult to figure out, but some of them do harken back to that old school style difficulty, but not as cryptic, I would say. Well, what others say anyway. I'm just passing.
I call it nonsense difficulty.
It's definitely on my wanted list. I do love my point-and-click adventure games, but with the Flame and the Flood and Sword Coast Legends, I just don't see myself having time to play this one. So who knows? Maybe if things are kind of slow in late October, early November.
Jeez, yeah. Now I want to buy this Sword Coast Legends game, and I still probably have 80 hours to go in The Witcher 3. Fallout, man. Fallout's coming out in like 6 weeks. It's crazy. 7 weeks. It's
just a lot of stuff coming out soon. You got Fallout, Battlefront.
Yeah,
this whole year has been pretty insane.
It really has been. I mean, compared to last year, where we were disappointed.
A pretty good summer lull.
Sure, but then we had the summer sales. Our backlogs filled up again. But yeah, there's been some good stuff. There's been a lot of good stuff this year, and it's going to be an interesting end-of-year wrap-up just now. And we still have the whole fall to go through and all the great games that are coming out then. So yeah, going to be a long one. But any other comments or games we want to throw out here before we end this, guys? No plugs, huh? Okay.
Oh,
Mina no golf.
Bloodborne, the Old Hunters DLC was announced. It's November 10th.
Oh, well, that's the same day as Fallout 4, so no one's going to play that.
No
one's going to play that. Okay.
No.
I'm going to buy it. I'm probably not going to play it at release. I'll play it after Fallout and everything.
After Fallout. Fallout never ends. You have to buy the season pass now.
I'm not buying the season pass. I don't care how good it is.
Me neither. Okay, so today is the 20th. So we will be back in 2 weeks on Sunday, October 4th. And in the meantime, if you like what we do here at Impact Gaming Community, stop by our website, impact-gaming.us. Check out some of our guilds. We play WoW. We play Final Fantasy XIV. We play Rocket League. We play Guild Wars 2. We're playing Trove right now. We have a Minecraft server. We do board games twice a week on Thursdays and Saturdays. We have an FPS group here for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. We have a lot of stuff that we do here, guys. We would love for you to stop by, throw an application at something, and or just hop on our TeamSpeak and chat with us. You can find the links on our website. You can also follow us on Twitter at impact_gamingcm. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Impact Gaming Videos. And, of course, tell your friends about our podcast, which you can find on iTunes by searching for IGC Podcast or something like that. Subscribe to us, leave us a review. That would be a fantastic thing to do. And if you want to get a hold of us here at the IGC Podcast, feel free to drop us an email at podcast@impact-gaming.us, and we will answer your silly questions live on the air on Twitch and on our TeamSpeak channel while we're recording. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you for stopping by and listen to our show. Do some or all of those things I just mentioned. That would be freaking awesome. So we'll see you guys. Take care, and until then, game on.